Weekdays at 9, only on the Weather Channel. Looking Mother Nature in the eye.
It's time for your tropical updates, and we are certainly looking at some active conditions, but for right now, they are in the eastern Pacific. And this week, that's where most of our attention is going to be. That is where conditions are the most favorable to see tropical development. Next week, we're going to start to keep an eye on the Gulf of Mexico. We're getting toward the 4th of July. So this is a time where a lot of you folks will have plans here toward the Gulf Coast. That will be something we'll discuss. Second half of July, it looks like things will become less favorable yet again. So there's only a very small window open when it comes to the Atlantic Basin. Here in the Pacific, a different story. This is Tropical Storm Cosme getting more organized over time. Wind speeds max sustained at 40 miles per hour. It's moving northwest at 10. We'll get a new update on this in a couple of hours from the National Hurricane Center. If you look at it from our infrared satellite, really cold, high cloud tops here. When you get to that green shading, that's about as high as the scale goes. So these storms and thunderstorms have built way up into the atmosphere. That's where it's very cold, and that's why they show up so bright on an infrared. That's what it's looking at. You don't see an eye yet. You do see some outflow on both sides of the storm. So slowly, this is getting a little bit more organized. And we look at the Hurricane Center forecast. By tonight, wind speeds may be up to 50 miles per hour. As we head into tomorrow, they are expecting it to become a hurricane, a Category 1 hurricane. But you see this track. It's off to the north and west. That's away from land, so it will generate some swell, some high surf in coastal Mexico. Likely not much more than that. Perhaps a little enhancement in thunderstorms right along the coastline. Eventually, as it continues its track to the west, it gets to the cold water, and it will lose its strength. The warm water is the lifeblood of a tropical system. We look back toward Central America, and there are some more areas of disturbed weather. Excuse me there. That will be another zone to watch over time. It looks like many of the models are grasping onto that and spinning up another storm in the wake of Cosme. Now, if we do get another storm named, it would be Delilah, and that would be perhaps 4 or 5 days away from now. Certainly something to keep close attention to. Farther east into the Gulf of Mexico, clear blue skies here, nothing brewing. Across parts of Haiti and down through Jamaica, there is a weak tropical wave, but there is also a lot of wind shear in the atmosphere. Strong upper-level winds, and this will just shred everything apart. So this is not a favorable area for development right now at all. Certainly not that favorable off the coast of Africa either. Barely any thunderstorms in the ITCZ, the Intertropical Convergence Zone. That's right along the equator. It's where you tend to see a train of thunderstorms. The reason for that, boy, it is dry. When you see orange on the water vapor imagery, here that means very dry and dusty air off the Sahara. So this is not a time of year you typically see development there anyway. So most favorable this week here across the eastern Pacific. As we head toward next week, there is some indication that pressures will try to low here in the Gulf of Mexico, maybe spinning something up. At the very least, could be a rain producer for the Gulf Coast and then up the East Coast, and drier, unfavorable air out across much of the Atlantic Basin. But this time of year, you don't expect much there either. Alex?
All right, well, Sunday